Well, yn y lle cyntaf I gydnabod y croeso caredig. I'm extremely grateful for your kind introduction and words. So that we understand each other, I am here today not with the authority of an art historian, perhaps or not without the perspicacity of the critic, but I'm here with the enthusiasm of one who has an interest in this subject. And my particular subject is the art of Vera Bassett, a rare and endearing artist. Now, those were terms used by this artist and critic. Mervyn Levy is shown here in a portrait by Alfred Janes, painted in 1935, and that particular portrait is in the Glynvivian collection in Swansea at the moment. He used the terms in the periodical Dock Leaves in 1954, in a review of an exhibition of contemporary painters held at the Wildenstein Galleries in London during the winter of that year. At that exhibition, there were 10 paintings by Vera Bassett. Let me summarize Mervyn Levy's review. He wrote, "She draws and paints not for the pundits of criticism, nor for the checkbook acclamations of fastidious patronage. She is an artist compelled by her muse. Vera Bassett's pictures strike me as amongst the most sincere and lovely things that I've seen for many a long artistic day. They are delicate and charming, sweet as the dawn, as divinely nervous as kittens. They sing like birds and patter like rain. She has the flair for interpreting aesthetic matters through the crystal frame of the lyrical, poetical eye. The vision of Inez, Gwen John and David Jones is there, but sufficiently uniquely in her own finely wrought line and pure, deft washes of colour. Vera Bassett is indeed a rare and endearing artist." So wrote Mervyn Levy in 1954. In the same year, a similar number of her paintings appeared in an exhibition at another London gallery, the Zwemmer Gallery. In his account of that exhibition, the art critic of the magazine Apollo wrote in the September 54 issue, "I particularly noticed two quite delightful drawings by Vera Bassett, Children at Play and Homeless, noting the most pleasing and direct way she presented groups of the unself-conscious human form. She did so with an imposed rhythm in the forms and a simplification which gave them a modernist feeling. I felt that here most certainly was an artist to watch." Now, such accolades should assure you that we are dealing with an artist of real talent. But before we go to look at her paintings, it might be of value to consider how other artists approached and felt about their work. The Polish émigré Joseph Herman lived and worked as an artist in Ystradgynlais from 1944 to 1952. He established himself as a major figure in British contemporary art and is renowned for his iconic images of Welsh miners, their families, and their communities. In his book, Related Twilights, published in 1975, he wrote, "I'm never satisfied with putting nature or social life on record. When I look at things, I see them like everyone else does. But when I close my eyes and try and recall them, a great change occurs. What I see with my closed eyes is a simplified image, deep, synthetic, and in form, it has the grandeur of a symbol. In that final symbol, I recognize the unity of my direction. That is why I only make notes from nature and paint from memory. The subject is then a lost world that I recover. In this way, one can get an approximation of reality without becoming realistic." In the case of Joseph Herman, it is with these words in mind that we should approach his work. This painting in the Glynvivian collection would illustrate his position. The approximation of reality without becoming realistic. This is also pertinent to the work of Vera Bassett, and we will see this later. I have come across a surviving sketchbook which notes situations that appeal to her, particularly groups of women. Here is one of them. And this sketch may well be the source of a finished study which is in a private collection. And if we put both of them together, there is no doubt that this is perhaps the forerunner, the sketch, the preparatory sketch for this work. Now, this is certainly not a study of silence. One can almost hear the buzz of animated conversation and exchanged confidences. Clex a cum might be a good Welsh title, and perhaps in English, gossip. In the sketchbook, there is a preparatory work for a beach scene. At first sight, that might appear fanciful. Women in coats and hats on the beach. However, it would seem that overcoats and hats for ladies and ties for gentlemen was the dress code of the beach in the 1950s. And that is a photograph that has a family connection with me and greater family connections with others in the audience. That is probably my grandmother-in-law. This is the last image in the sketchbook and is, in my opinion, vintage Vera. And this theme and others will be explored later in the talk. I'm intrigued that this particular image has a shadow in more recently produced works, probably by someone like Carol Leck, sometimes by Mike Jones, and sometimes by Gordon Stewart. But I realize the possibility of influence is unlikely, but the similarity is there. Vera Elizabeth Bassett was born on the 31st of July 1912 at Glenview, Forest, Llanedi, and was one of 6 children. She was the daughter of William John Bassett, a furniture salesman, and Mary Ann Bassett. The house was aptly named Glenview. It would describe the scene from its situation overlooking the valley through which the river Lycha meanders on its way to the sea, with views of the Garn Sort hills beyond. These hills were to appear in her paintings later. In 1956, when she was 44 years old, she married William Owen Reynolds, a post office engineer, and they lived in 7 Forest Road, which is near the Black Horse Inn in Pontarddulais. In late 1969, she moved with her husband Bill to 36 High Street in Buryport, which was at one time a post office. She died in 1997 at Mynydd Mawr Hospital in Tumble in the Gwendraeth Valley. The circumstances that led to her enduring interest in painting are well documented and much quoted. In her teens, she was injured when alighting from a bus and was hospitalized in Swansea for a prolonged period for the treatment of her injuries. This treatment in the hospital and at home in Glenview involved lying on her back for a period of almost 2 years and for long episodes strapped in a surgical support. It was during this time that her father bought a box of paints for her. An interest in drawing had been noticed in Vera from an early age, but her father's action galvanized her to draw and paint in earnest. In an article in the Evening Post in 1967, she is quoted as saying, "I'd been drawing from a very early age. I thought that one of my brothers could draw much better than I could. No, he didn't turn out to be an artist, although he had the soul of one.